Okay, let's talk about three things that you never want to do on a math test. And these three things aren't so obvious. I think a lot of students don't realize they're actually doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and it could certainly can mean a major difference in their grades. And I've seen these things that we're going to be talking about here in a second mean the difference between a B or an A on a test, or even an F or a D or a C, okay, failing or passing. So you want to pay attention to this because, again, it's not so obvious that these things are detrimental to your exam. And I'm going to be speaking from a lot of experience. I'm talking decades of teaching math, but I've seen thousands, tens of thousands of tests, quizzes, final exams, you name it, and you just see these trends, and you see how people interact with exams. And of course, um, your teacher, you may have heard these things stressed to you, but a lot of students aren't paying attention, or they kind of don't appreciate the importance of avoiding these three things that we're going to be talking about in just 1 second. So this is definitely going to be worth your while. And but before we get into our three things that you want to never do on a math test, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. And yes, you guessed it, I am a middle and high school math teacher. And over several years, I've constructed what I like to believe is one of the best online math help programs there is. Of course, I'll let you be the judge of that. If you're interested, you can find my math help program by following the link in the description of this video. But I offer several courses, literally over 100 courses, many of which are specialty courses for like test preparation. So, for example, if you're taking the GED test or the SAT, ACT, or maybe a teacher certification exam or a placement exam for college, I have a lot of these specialty type of courses. But of course, um, also, they have the main type of curriculum, for example, like Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, etc. So you could take my courses as a complete online course, or you can use my courses as kind of a supplement to assist you in a course that you might be taking. Now, if you are a student, and I kind of assume that you are if you're watching this video, the one thing that you must know, okay, this is my golden rule of math, is those students who take great math notes almost always get the best math grades. That's what I've seen throughout the years. And the reverse is true. Those students who don't take notes, they don't feel like it's important, or they take slappy notes, or maybe they only take notes on every other Wednesday because their best friend is taking their notes. You kind of get the picture, right? Or maybe they're distracted by their cell phone, or somebody talked to them in class, or they got to do their homework for another class in math class. I've seen it all, and I've done it all as a student as well. But listen, you're going to pay a price for not taking notes. So if you're interested in doing well in math, and I'm assuming that you are, if you're watching this video, focus on your notes. Okay, they're like the main indication of how well you're going to do. Make your notes excellent. Make them great. All right, so of course, I'm sure there's room for improvement. We can all improve. So, if you need something to study from, which of course you do need something to study from, I actually offer math notes to include pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, and trigonometry. So, you can find a link to those notes in the description of this video as well. All right, so you never ever, for the most part, want to do these three things. Now, I say for the most part because there are exceptions, and I'm going to talk about this here in a second. All right, so let's get to these three things, okay? So what is the first thing that you never want to do on a math test? This is almost like non-negotiable, okay? This one, I'm trying to think of an exception. I really can't think of an exception right now. The first thing you don't want to be doing is to finish the test early, okay? Don't turn your test in early. So for example, if you got 60 minutes to take the test and you're like, I'm going to show everybody how smart I am because I finished the test in 25 minutes, I'm going to turn it in and everyone's going to see me turn it in. They're going to be like, wow, that person's amazing. The teacher's like blown away. Oh my goodness, look at that person, so smart. They don't even need the full 60 minutes. They just turned in their test early. This is probably one of the worst things that you can do in any test. Never, ever, ever turn your test in early, okay? Or even if you're done, okay? What do you do with that time? Well, what do you think you should do, right? Here's a rhetorical question. So let's say you finish the test in 25 minutes. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't go through, each question. You just knew it because you studied, you had great notes, and you're watching all my videos on my YouTube channel. You're like, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this. And I'm not saying that you can't be finished with the test in 25 minutes, but you never turn it in because once you turn in your test, you can't get it back from the teacher. Okay, it's done. So you need to go back and essentially review, okay, kind of start grading yourself. I can tell you right now, the best math students, right, that if you go quick and they know their stuff, you'll write things down that you'll be like, I can't believe I did that. Like basic equation, like 10 equals 10, you'll write down x equals 4. And you'll, because you're going so fast, and you're like, I can't believe I did that. Of course, we know that the answer here, but divide both sides of the equation by 2, x is going to be equal to 5. But maybe you wrote like 15 or 51. You'll be surprised, okay? Well, I'm not surprised because I've graded tens of thousands of papers. I'm like, how did this happen? Okay, this is like crazy stuff. I'm like, what is going on here with this person's work? Well, when you're going so fast, and if you're on some sort of, I don't want to say, if you want to be impressive, you want to stand out, that's not the way you do it. The way you stand out to your math teacher is to turn in a excellent completed test, all right? So use the entire time. Go back and review. I can almost tell you the probability of you making a mistake, even on questions that you know, is very high, all right? I would say at least 75%, okay? Probability that there is an error. You need to assume that you made an error. Now, it's your job with this extra time to go find those errors. And you just look, keep looking for errors, keep looking for errors. Look at how your presentation of your work, all right? Use that time. Just assume that you made an error and then try to find it. And if you can't find any errors with the time you have remaining, well, then so be it. Then you turn your test in. But you never finish your test early and turn it in. Okay, that's pretty much without exception. Okay, all right. So, what is the second thing that you don't want to do? Well, this one is skip questions. You never really want to be skipping questions. Now, there are some situations for particular tests, let's say like the SAT or ACT, where you get penalized for some questions. So, for example, let's say you had 50 questions, all right, and if you if you get this question wrong, you'll actually get points taken away. Versus if you skip the question, well, you're not you're not going to get any points taken away from you. So you got to know the test taking format. So on certain type of test, standardized test, you have to know the rules, read the directions, okay, or know the situation you're going into is will the test penalize you if you get a question wrong? That you do have to consider, and that might be the only circumstances where you might want to consider skipping a question. If you completely don't know how to do a problem, okay, and if you guess, all right, you're going to get penalized for it, well, then you can consider skipping a question. You can't skip too many, all right? Still have to put in the rest of your time, let's say, on the 90% of the questions that you do know how to do, right? So, but in general, you do not want to skip a question, okay? Most like math courses, your teacher's not going to penalize you for uh, skipping a question. They want to see you attempt. You just never do it. Okay. So let's say here's problem number one, problem number two, problem number three. You're like, I know how to do this. I have no idea how to do this. I could do this, this, and this. Listen, before turn in your test, no matter what, put anything down. Okay. Just don't skip. Don't leave a question totally blank. Okay. It's never a good thing. Just write something down. Okay. I can tell you right now, this has been, if a student wrote down, okay, let's say a student did a pretty good job on this, and a teacher saw that this student started the problem in some basic way, just showed me, like, oh, I know 10% of what's going on with this problem. Even if you didn't know how to do the problem or even really get it started, but you just showed me, you had some knowledge of it, I might give you 1 point, okay? For let's say this question was a 15 question point or 15 question or 15 point question. Let's say I give you 1 point. This is often the difference between an F or a D, or a D or a C, or a B or an A. I'm telling you right now, just believe me when I tell you, you just don't skip questions with the unless you're facing a type of test that you'll be penalized. Of course, that's a different deal. We talked about those exceptions, but in general, you do not skip a question. So you have to be very effective with your time on tests. Now, one thing about skipping questions, here's one thing you don't do as well. It's not part of the thing that I'm talking about, but you don't want to spend too much time. Okay, when we're talking about questions, you don't want to spend too much time on one question. We can actually probably put that in as the fourth thing. Okay. Now, don't do, never do these four things on tests. I'm actually kind of thinking about this now. I'm thinking, maybe I should have made this video a little bit different, because you don't want to spend too much time on one question, because you got to get to the rest of these questions, right? And you got to, know how much time you're dealing with. So if you're spending, 15 minutes on question number one, and there's 20 questions you got to answer, and you only got an hour, obviously you're doing something wrong, okay? Because you're going to end up leaving a lot of questions blank. So you got to really know your time management, okay? All right, so that is our second thing. Don't skip questions, don't finish early. What is our last thing? Okay, so our last thing that kind of really came to mind to me is you never show incomplete work, right? So let's just put this way: your work, okay? Don't just show an answer, all right? That's like, I'm kind of trying to see how I can eloquently express this. But here's the thing: oftentimes students will use their kind of mental math. They'll do the work in their head, and they'll be like, "Here's the answer because I did it in my brain, and here it is." All right. So question number 7, x equals 2. Okay, but let's say x is equal to 2, and the question required you to do, a couple, 2, 3, 4 steps to get to this answer. But maybe it wasn't so difficult, and maybe you could do this in your brain mentally. You're like, I see the answer is 2. Here's the answer. You never want to do that. Okay. Oftentimes, many teachers, including myself, if you don't have the supporting work, you're not going to get credit, because you become suspicious. You'll be like, hey, maybe your eyes were drifting off to the person next to you. Okay, I need to know. I want to see the evidence that you understand the process to get to that solution. Okay, now the more supporting work you give, the higher chances you have in order to get partial credit. Because if you get the answer wrong and you have no work, you're going to get 0 points. Okay, that's a big no-no, right? However, if you get the answer wrong and you have, like maybe 50% of this is pretty good work, you're showing me something, some level of understanding, I might give you, 3 points out of 10. Okay, again, all this adds up. It's the difference between an F and a C, or a B and an A. And if you're watching this video, you're interested in doing well on a math test, okay, which has major impact. If you're a high school student, we're talking about what? We're talking about your GPA, okay? We're talking about, college entrance. If you're in college, we're talking about the difference between, you having to retake a course again. Of course, you're paying a lot of money to take these courses. So this is serious business, okay? So again, I'm sure your teacher, hopefully your teacher has stressed this through the years, and maybe you kind of figured some of this out just through common sense, right? Like skipping questions, that's kind of common sense, right? Or finishing early is kind of common sense. But maybe, you not showing enough work, maybe that isn't common sense. But I can tell you right now, even the best students, I've seen so many like top-notch students just like turn their test early. I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. Or I've seen students who just be like, I just completely don't know anything about this. I'm like, yeah, you know a little bit about the topic. Okay. Don't skip the question. Just, tell me anything. All right. Be like, oh yeah, I think this is about, I think this is kind of what you're supposed to do on question 2. Just show me something. If you're like, okay, yeah, I'll give you 1 or 2 points, just because you kind of remembered something that you probably maybe, were paying a little bit of attention in class that day. So, I'm kind of giving you a insight on how a lot of math teachers think. I can't speak for all math teachers, but at least the ones I've, taught with, were, in general, this was kind of the approach. Okay. Again, it's not about right or wrong when it comes to math. It's about, the teachers trying to get a sense of what you know, what you understand, what you comprehend. Okay. Anybody can make a little arithmetic mistake. And of course, it's still a big deal if you don't get the exact right answer. However, if you're understanding the process, then that's encouraging. And the student, the teacher wants to, give you credit for that. All right. So hopefully, these things, you will apply in your math class, whatever level that might be. This can be, as basic as sixth grade math to calculus. All right. This is, doesn't, this doesn't stop at high school. Okay. And it doesn't start in middle school. All right. This is just common sense. But I think who said it? Thomas Paine. Common sense is not so common. Well, here's the thing, right? You have to have a plan when you're going into these math tests. Think to yourself, all right? Like, am I ready? Got to take good notes. Do I know this stuff? Take a deep breath and then have a plan and follow the plan. And the more math tests you take, okay, where you're following a plan, the better you're going to get at this stuff, right? Okay, so hopefully this video, is going to help you out. I definitely know it will. But if you enjoyed the video or liked it in some manner, I would certainly appreciate you helping me out by smashing that like button. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. I've been on YouTube for a long time. Obviously, I'm obsessed with teaching mathematics. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've posted on YouTube over the last 10 plus years. Basic math to advanced math, and I'm posting new stuff all the time. So those videos are there for you. So if you like my teaching style, hopefully you'll follow me and I can help you through your various mathematics courses. Okay, and I hope you continue to take math because math is such a cool subject. And of course, if you need assistance in your math class, check out the links in the description of the video. That's where you'll find my best work. All right, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.